Welcome to Getting Started with Rostify. In this video I will show you how you can set up your account. My name is Nathan Chang and I'm the Customer Success Manager at EMEA. Today we were looking at menu items so we can see where everything is, setting up our account defaults, forms so that we can collect information and then also control how we display it, then communications and what different methods we can use. The first screen it will come to is the Welcome Wizard. Here you'll be taken on a guided tour through the actual platform. You'll be able to click on the button so that you can begin to actually take part of the modules. This will help you to set up your actual account and for you to get started on each one of the different modules. There will be instructions that are provided throughout, but at any time you like, you can actually go and skip the tour. But just because you skip the tour, it doesn't mean that you can't come back to it later. So at any point in time, you can come back to this screen and then you can begin the tour again. Up above, you'll see that there are page information icons. These will be actually throughout the platform. So it will give an indication as to what the module you're looking at. So in this case, we can see that it's getting started. So it's the Welcome Wizard. Above that are your profile settings. In your profile settings, you can view portal. The view portal allows you to be able to see exactly what another user who has signed up to your account sees. You can also use the setup guide, so if you want to retake any of the modules below, you can do so. You can then also take a look at what's new to see any kind of system updates. The settings icon allows you to be able to take a look at what your security is, so you can enable two-factor authentication, or you can actually adjust your locale if needed. The question mark icon next to the profile settings is the help center icon. There you can access articles as well as videos just like this one. There's also a magnifying glass where you can perform a quick search. The quick search allows you to be able to search for users, but then also you can search for shifts and events. You can start typing to begin a search and you only need to partially complete what you're looking for and then the system will find it. Next, let's take a look at our organization settings. Notice that in the corner there is a page information icon telling us what the page is about. On the General tab, we can create our system default languages and locales. Adding a new locale allows for the account to display in different languages. You can change any of your organization defaults that you like by toggling them on and off using the sliders on the right hand side. The User tab allows you to define who can access your account. So in my case, the minimum age is for 18 years for any new users. I can also set up social media login, so anyone who has a Facebook account or Google account can have their details automatically set up. Configuring the communication tab allows you to set up how your volunteers will see emails sent by you. By default, you will send an email from noreply@rostify.com, but you can configure the reply to be your email. You can also add an email banner which can be your logo so it looks closer to your own style. Speaking of styling, the branding tab allows you to be able to customize what your organization name will be according to anyone that signs up onto your account. You also can customize the colors, with the primary being the main dashboard and that will be replicated in the portal, and also the secondary, which will be the colors for letters around. Now that the organization settings have been completed, you can begin to set up your forms and collect information from people registering. Clicking on the users allows you to be able to access the forms section. Inside the forms section, you'll be able to see that there's two types that are created by default. There's the user registration and the user profile. User registration is the first form that a user will see, and this will allow them to collect information. Clicking on edit allows you to update the form, and so you can begin to edit the attributes that are there. There are 6 attributes which are created by default. These are the email address, password, first name, last name, date of birth, phone number, and also there's the terms and conditions for them to agree to. It is important to try and keep the form as basic as possible and only collect the information that you require so you can get the users to sign up. However, on the left hand side there are additional fields that you can create. One of which that you can see there is the marketing. The marketing is a special one as that links into the communication that you send from the platform. However, if you need to have any additional fields, you can use the add button in order to create some more. As an example, I'm just going to create an attribute item, so a question, because I've got the relationship to you, but I want to know what the emergency contact name is. So if I add in the name, that's what's going to be displayed inside the platform, and then automatically the code will then generate. So that's going to be my report. That's going to be used for reporting. So I'm just going to cheat quickly, and I'm going to copy and paste what the name is, just so that I can display what's going to be the portal label, so how it's going to be shown on the actual form when someone completes it. Next, I'll go and set volunteer, because that's the attribute type. So I'll go into more detail of that later as to what that means. And then I'm going to select a single line, just because I want to collect simple basic text. When you're looking at what the tick boxes are, contains private/personal information means that this information will be deleted as it's personal. So a good example of that is if it's someone's bank account details, or if it's even their name and date of birth. It's important to remember that although that's deleted, any kind of registration, so like any kind of shifts they signed up to, will still be retained. Next is the can be used in communication. That allows you to be able to send an email. So I'm just going to check that. By default, you should always kind of check that, because you never know when you're going to need it in an email. So I always check it. But can only be viewed by an admin field is used mostly for reports. So a good example of this is, say for instance someone's completed registration and you want to have a pinpoint mark to say exactly the date and time and they've completed that task. Can only be modified by admins means that once the attribute is completed, so once the information is collected, then the user won't be able to amend this information. So a good example of this is going to be the date of birth, because that's not going to be a field that's really going to change. It should be the same. It's always best to standard, just for you to check that. Is unique is mostly used for when you're doing integration, so if you need a unique ID. And then also what you can note is on the right hand side there's an information icon. So that information icon shows you exactly what each field means and what it can do. So I'm just going to save that now because I'm done setting it up. Once I've completed the setup, I can then click and drag any of the available options from one side to another. This will now add it to the form so it to be completed. I can then go and configure it so that I can make it so that it's required, forcing the user to add it in. I'm just going to do a quick save before continuing, as I've done a bit of work on this section, so I don't want you to lose it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this across and organize it in the format I want someone to be able to answer my questions. And then this one can go there. Cool. What you can then do is you can then also use something that's called conditional logic, or you can use a visibility. So clicking that in allows me to, once I go and configure it, I can then set this field so that it only applies when someone selects yes. Visibility, and then I'll select agree above. So once someone says yes, then my question will display, so the marketing one. You can now go on to copy the registration URL, and then you can stick that on your website, or you can use it inside an email alternatively. Now that my form is complete being set up, I can, if I want to, I can go and add some more attribute items, or what I can do is go and add some more content if I want to provide any information to when people are signing up. Alternatively, you can also take a look and see that there's a form ID and that's location, so in this case the form ID is 301. I can then go and let me click on form because I want to just quickly go and preview it and take a look and see what it's going to look like as people sign up. So once the preview has loaded up, I can begin to actually amend what I've actually created. So I can go and add an object that's there, and let me check to see how my conditional logic's working. That's there, cool. So that actually generated the checkbox after I've selected it. Now that we've completed our registration to collect information, I can close that, and then I'm going to go into my profile. So the user registration collects information, the user profile displays that information that's been collected. So if I go in settings and update, now I can set the order to which each of the attributes are going to apply to it by clicking and dragging them across again. Additionally, what I can also do while I'm clicking and dragging is I'm able to set the order. I can then go and add in page breaks in order for me to be able to section it off so that you can see specific sections. So in this case I'm using terms, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take across all my terms, I'm going to then add them into a specific page that's there on page 2, which I can then view inside my portal. I can then go and see the man in the corner. I can go click view portal, and I can go and see exactly how all my profile attributes have been saved. So if I go along to my profile, I can then see how they've been set, and I can then see on the next page what actual items I've completed. So I can see here the split where I've added my terms. Now let's take a look at communications and the different types that we have in the platform, as well as what the contact center, so this is how queries are submitted, as well as what phrases we use for when we're setting up events and shifts and generally throughout the platform. And then finally we'll have a brief overview of the portal content. We can now click on the communications tab to access communications dashboard, where you can actually see everything that's been sent from the platform as a summary by day, and you can customize it. In the email you're able to go and view the sent items, as well as how you can send and view templates. So what we're going to be taking a look at now is we're going to be taking a look at what the templates are. Inside the template list we'll have all the default templates which have been created. So we have the user registration, which is the one we're going to be taking a look at now, as well as the invitation email and administrator invitation. There's also the forgotten password, contact us email, and email verification. Let's go and see the user registration, which we're going to update, as that's the first email that's going to be sent from once someone has registered. So if we click through and update template, from here what we can see is that we've got a standard word edit. So inside the contact box you can bold and you can use italics. You can also use merge fields that are there in order for you to go and add in any of the merge fields. It's important to remember that to use the correct one for what you're doing. So when it's a user field, a user merge type, you're going to be able to use that for initial content or whenever they've completed the registration, because they'll have completed that. But if it's something like an event or a shift user type, you won't be able to use those as they wouldn't have completed it. I'm actually pretty good with everything I've got, so I'm just going to close the window down because I'm not add anything to it. I'll keep it nice and simple. But if I had anything, then what I do is I'd add it into here, and I'd use the merge tags to go and provide the information of what they need once they've completed sign up. I'm now going to take a look at my templates because we need to actually review some of them right now at this stage. So let's go and review the invitation email, the administrator invitation email, the forgot password, as well as the contact us email and the email verification. These ones are all going to be needed for when we invite our users into the platform for us to be signing up. So we've seen what type of emails that are going to be sent out by the system automatically with the templates. Now let's take a look at the contact center. And inside the contact center we can place definitions for what information received. So in this case I've got my Run for Nathan event which is there, and I want any emails that are sent. So if I add anything in there when I'm on my portal, I'm now able to go and actually view the different options that I created in the contact center. So when someone comes in, they're going to send me a query. Those queries will go to the user that you request